Time for our rising crisis update on coronavirus cases here in the United States, around the world, and more. Let's start with the U.S. We have 188,247 cases confirmed here in the United States, 3,921 deaths as of this morning, according to the New York Times. Around the world, that number continues to rise. 868,100 cases, 43,010 deaths. And then New York State continues to be the epicenter of the virus. 76,030 cases, 1,552 deaths in the state of New York alone, and much of that concentrated to New York City. Of course, though, we're also seeing, Krystal, not just localized to New York State. Florida is beginning to see an outbreak. Dr. Scott Gottlieb, former FDA commissioner, said that Texas is expected to be hit harder than the testing currently indicates. So shortages of testing. The number of tests actually went down yesterday relative to the others. Vice President Pence saying we're testing about 100,000 people per day now, but still not at the correct number. And we're worrisome. The president saying yesterday in his press conference, it will be two very, very painful and hard weeks for the country ahead, expecting that to be the peak number of deaths here in the U.S.
Right, and they're estimating between 100,000 and 240,000 deaths. Make sure you're maintaining that social distance. Make sure you're staying home, because what you do will directly determine how high that death toll ultimately goes. But no doubt we're in it here for a while. At the same time, someone that you all probably know you may be turning to find out what is going on with the coronavirus crisis. Chris Cuomo has now tested positive for coronavirus. Of course, his brother Andrew leading the response in that hard-hit state of New York. So Chris is ill, but he's still broadcasting from his basement right now. He did a show from there last night. Let's take a look.
We do not have the testing data to make real sense of our reality beyond what we know is the face of it for an overwhelming number who get sick. And that face is mine. I tested positive. Scary, yes, as you might imagine, but better me than you. My concern is what I may have put on my family, just like you would. That is hurting me way more than anything a virus can do. So let's focus. Let's use this example of me having it as proof that you can get it too. God forbid. We have to do everything we can to avoid being sick. We have to do it for ourselves, our families, and for those on the front lines who are saving the lives of people like me and many of you. Together as ever as one. That is our remedy. What do you say? Let's get after it.
And of course, we all wish Chris the absolute best. And, you know, he's very lucky because he's going to have whatever care he needs, was able to get the test to know what's going on. But it was pretty powerful. I listened to some of his show, him talking about how much guilt he had around, did I spread it to my family? Is my wife going to be okay? And now, in a crisis situation, he can't be there to help protect his wife and his kids because he has to be quarantined. I mean, he's in the house, he's down in the basement.
In his basement.
But you know, I think that sense of I can't be on the front lines fighting for my family, that's got to be a very hard feeling for Chris, but for so many people who are dealing with this illness right now.
I can't imagine. I'm hearing the same thing from frontline healthcare workers, that they can't be with their families
horrible.
when they come home at the end of the day. It's really a terrible, terrible situation. And then these people should be getting all of our compassion, all of our help that we possibly can, so that they can stay safe and so that they can be emotionally taken care of in such a terrible, terrible time.
Yeah, absolutely. And at the same time, Saagar, there are fears that this recession may be longer lived than anyone would hope.
So this is coming from the New York Times. Basically, there's fears that the worldwide economic downturn could basically be very long and very deep, with the recovery limited by continued anxiety. And that's one of the most important things to remember, is that it's not just going to end. Life is not going to just happen again in 2 months. It's like, people could return to work, people could return, but social distancing is going to be a part of this and part of our lives until we have a vaccine. That's just the reality. And with that comes major changes to the way that we live our lives, to the way that we consume. I mean, movie theaters, concerts, entertainment, other places where people congregate, going out to eat, restaurants. I mean, how long is it going to take until people feel comfortable going out to eat again in a crowded bar, a crowded restaurant?
Yeah.
These are major economic engines of growth, not just here, around the world, trade, the hardening of borders, supplies. I mean, it's just going to change everything about the way that we live our lives, possibly for about 18 months.
Yeah, I mean, just to ask yourself the question, when's the next time you're going to feel comfortable going to a concert? right? It's going to be a while.
Vaccine,
yeah,
basically.
even after a vaccine, I think it just changes our mentality around how we are, around people, around how we live our lives. And what we've seen in other business cycles is, one part of the world may be doing better and it can help kind of pull the rest of the world out of a recession. You're not going to have that here because everyone, everywhere is really being hard hit. So we hope those projections are not the case, but we also always try to bring you the truth and the facts.
Right.
And the reality is we need to prepare ourselves for it to be a long recovery because you can't flip a switch and turn the economy back on and have everybody just go back to their regular daily lives. At the beginning of this, a few weeks ago when there was more of this debate, like maybe we should just continue on with what we're doing and if people are going to die, they're going to die, oh, well, too bad. Even if you had that attitude, people aren't going to be going out to bars. People want to protect themselves. I mean, they want to protect themselves. They want to protect their families. Even if they don't feel personally vulnerable, we all have elderly people in our lives that we love. We all have people with underlying health conditions that we love. And also we see, look, it's not just hitting the elderly. It's not just people with underlying health conditions who are being massively impacted and in certain cases dying from this. This is now in a very short period of time has become the third most common leading cause of death in the country. And you can watch the numbers just tick up and up and up, just like that. So this is something to be taken very seriously. And there's just no doubt about it that the economic ramifications, even if we were to eradicate it tomorrow and everybody said, the president said, all right, go back to work, it's going to take some time.
Yeah, someone I know, as a cautionary tale, 44 years old, was on a ventilator, had to be intubated. 3 weeks later is still in the hospital.
Wow.
It's not a joke. And he ran the New York City Marathon twice in the last 5 years.
Wow.
So, there you go.
All right, folks, stay safe. We'll bring you the latest. Have a good day.